The
Hmm.
that going to go away?
Well, I think we just
On
pressed
the, as we know, last Thursday and Friday, there was a meeting conducted at the Klickitat County Planning Department. We had participation in the extent that Wes participated as the chief giving testimony. The hearing was taped and we all had the opportunity on Monday or Tuesday, I guess it was, when it was posted, that we were able to listen if we didn't listen in while the actual thing was going on. As a result of some of the comments made during that meeting, it's the reason why we called this meeting to discuss whether we want to make some comments. How do I get rid of that thing in my face?
You dropped off there.
Just clicked, I got it.
Where did our leader go?
We lost him.
He jumped off the internet curb.
Ross and Jennifer aren't saying anything because they're muted. Oh, look, she's eating too. Oh, there's Tom. Oh, no. Where's Sandy?
Hey, Tom, you're not connected to audio yet.
Well, Chuck, I think you're muted. No?
Yeah, I mute the
There he
thing
is.
when I'm busy
Yes.
clearing my throat. I don't want you
Looks
all to
like
hear that.
Tom's connected now. So I think he's still on mute.
Oh, good. Here comes the expert.
Here's the technical assistant.
Now just unmute.
There, I'm muted.
Hey,
Fine. We're back again.
Hey, for
thank
Sandy.
you, Sandy.
Good job,
Get the
everybody.
gold star. Gold star for the day. Okay. I don't know if you heard me before, but what we're here to discuss is the under canvas meetings that we listen to. And if there's comments we want to make to the local newspapers or other organizational groups that we would be in contact with. So interested in hearing comments about what you thought from the meeting and some ideas that we may be able to put forth in a letter. So I'm going to open her up. Gentlemen?
Okay, I'll start. I did listen to most of that hearing today, so I just gave up. And I did hear two comments that were negative. I didn't write down their names. I didn't think it mattered. And then I've also forwarded another letter that came to me, and I still don't know how. Again, an entire paragraph devoted to insulting us and telling lies. Now, I realize this computer is the problem because it's so easy for somebody to just get an idea in their head and they pop it out. But the trouble is they're popping it out in writing on the internet in front of the entire public. And I think all these comments they're untrue. They have no basis or backup. And I think, here's the team, here we all are. I think we need to say something about it, because I believe that we have had the support of all our taxpayers, and there's what, 3,000 of them or something like that, for years. And now all these comments are going around about us and the chief. And I'm sick of it myself. But what do we do about it? I think maybe telling it like it is, not attacking anybody back, might be a good idea. Because I'll bet you there's only 3 or 4 people that are behind all this, and the other 2,900 and whatever have no idea this is going on unless they're reading all this stuff. So maybe a letter to the editor, a letter to both community councils and to our, community support folks might be a thought. I don't think we can just all bury our heads about this and just take it.
Can I ask a question, Bob?
Yes.
What comments specifically are you trying to direct us to in terms of what you heard?
Okay, that one letter that was sent that I got a hold of said that Chief Long threw us to the dogs, and then went on about a few other things. Today I heard that Chief Long was asked about the Lyle fire, and he said it could have been worse. And then this person said, well, Chief Long is not an expert, he's a lay person. And I just thought, you got to be kidding me. All those classes that Wes takes, and they're not book classes. He's out in the field learning how to be a commander and doing all this. And then I did hear that other comment from somebody that our fire district is only capable of responding to 50% of our calls. And that means we would be putting under canvas, under risk. Well, that's a lie too, because even if, Cherry Lane only makes 50% of their calls, Houston's up here, White Salmon's up here, Benton's up here. So we're making our calls. And they want to do unfortunately, go to Roz and ask for another public disclosure, they could find that out. But they're just making comments. So that's what I heard today.
Yeah. It seems like everybody in almost every office in the county took some fairly serious hits at that hearing, during that hearing process. The county commissioners got blasted a bunch of times, and I remember hearing the things that you just mentioned, and it is very concerning. So I don't have any trouble with us sending some kind of a response refuting those things. I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say at the moment. I'll just defer back to Tom and see, and yourself, Bob, if you have more you'd like to lay out there. I'm trying to remember exactly what I heard. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I heard most of it, and I heard the things that you brought up and mentioned. So I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to shut my mouth for a minute and kind of think about all this.
Okay, in the position, I agree with you both in what you're saying. I think that we need to say something back, and this is our opportunity to communicate how effective we are, of the resources we have available, of the opportunities we've had to be able to respond and do things. So this is a time that maybe we should step up. The other thing that I kind of got a drift through some of this is that our volunteers are untrained and able to respond in certain emergencies. That really got under my skin, because I know that the training that we're doing training every Tuesday night, and the training we're doing is the wildland training, the EMS training, the other practical, structural, et cetera type of training, that our people are qualified to do this job and able to, when the 911 calls in and we respond, and these people expect a fire truck in their driveway, we have got trained professional people coming there to respond. So we need to blow our horn a little bit. And I think this is an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I guess I can't disagree with that at all. It irks me no end to hear anybody denigrate the work of the volunteers or our staff for that matter. Everybody does a lot that's associated with our fire district. Nobody's sitting on their hands, and if there's a fire district anywhere in the county that puts a lot of emphasis on training and having people certified, I would have to say we're in the top group of departments that actually do that. And we not only talk the talk, we walk the walk. Chief Long has done an excellent job of taking care of that. And so it's terribly troubling, and gosh, it's offensive as all get out to me that they would denigrate the work of our volunteers and the time that they put in, their own time. I want to emphasize that, to do what they do for the community for nothing.
Well,
So
it hurts me a
go ahead,
lot.
Tom.
I'm sorry, it hurts me a lot because I know our volunteers train to the same standard as state qualified professional firefighters. And then people want to demean them and say that they're incompetent and they don't know what they're doing. Again, it's comments made by people that don't know what they're talking about. And they could find that out. They could find out that we train to professional standards. We have the records to prove it. So yeah, it's hurting.
Yeah, I totally agree. As I just said, the volunteers do lots, our staff does lots. The falsehoods about doing backroom deals, that just really gets under my skin. I know, and I'm confident that our staff is doing everything above board. And so it's terribly offensive. There's nothing to say about it except that, I guess. So I think maybe you're right. Some type of a letter. I'm not sure who to send a letter to. The community councils might be a good place to send that, and perhaps a copy to the newspaper.
I think we ought to both hit both. We at least Columbia Gorge News, Goldendale Sentinel, whatever that. I think that's what it's called. And I don't know if there's another local newspaper in the area here that I'm not aware of that we could send it to. But I think that by doing that, it gives us the opportunity to explain to the world who we are, what we're doing, the responses we're making, the qualifications we have. The other thing that Wes brings up periodically, and we all understand, is the survey rating board numbers that we are participating in trying to reduce. And by having a qualified organization like we might want to make sure that people understand that by having us as an organization responding, that their numbers can be lower or are being lower because of what we are and where we are and what we're doing. So I think there again, that gives us something, opportunity to be able to communicate to our customers what's really going on.
So what I hear
Go
is
ahead.
that we try to document the things that we've heard from the hearing. I think Bob alluded to those pretty well, and all of us have covered that ground pretty well. And in addition, maybe point out some of the positives that you just mentioned, Tom. I think that's a good point. Our crews are doing all the things they do, and there's more to it than just providing fire prevention and fire suppression. I mean,
And I think also our citizens task force we have goals and objectives and mission value statements. I think people ought to know that that's all in place and that we are very transparent in what we do. And they ought to know that so that we're not pardon my word, a slack outfit here trying to do something. We're organized and are very well professional organization. So I think that's worthwhile saying too.
Sure. I wouldn't disagree with that.
Now, how do we go about this and what do we do? Okay. The
Well, I
ideas,
think-
some of the ideas that we've already thrown around here probably we can put in paragraph forms. I think that we could have Wes and the staff could be brought into this, being able to put things together. They've done excellent job with this before. And we write, I don't know how much restriction there is on these articles or the opinion page in the newspaper, or on the opinion page of the newspapers is what I should say. But I think that we could definitely generate enough to fill up the space. And probably even if we called and said, hey, how much is there that we can say or word wise? And if not, is there a way we can get it in as an article or something in there that time this week? And in lieu of, so that we can get our point across. So I just throw that out there because I'm not familiar with what that's all entails. And
Well, I
maybe
would
Roz
tell
or Wes has it.
I do want to see Roz and Jennifer involved because these people are hurting them too. They're hurting their feelings. I mean, those two gals put in 180% for us, which means for our customers. So I think we all need to be involved with inputs here. Because this has offended all. I see 6 pictures on this page. I think it's all very offensive to all of us.
Any comments, Chief or Roz or Jennifer? We've been doing all the talking.
So just real quick, I looked on the Columbia Gorge News and you have a 350 word limit. And I don't see what the Sentinel says. Obviously, to the community councils, you have unlimited space and so on. I think for my purposes or my perspective, not only have you gentlemen, did I lose you? Oh,
No, you're here. I hear you.
I'm trying to get back. No, you gentlemen have graciously allowed me to vent individually my frustrations, and those frustrations are centered around our people, not so much how I feel about the few that have exclaimed incorrect statements and used fire as a convenient tool to oppose a development project. That in itself is fine. My venting has been centered around all the berating that is associated with our volunteers. So that said, I want to make sure that in this process, the board understands that collectively you have the right to do as you choose, letters and so on. But it's important to me also, especially in a public meeting, that Roz and Jennifer have the opportunity to, if you're asking them, voice their perspective on this topic.
Absolutely. We're all a team here. Everybody's got to say. So we'll listen, ladies. If you got a comment or way to do this or an approach.
I'll speak a little. I didn't hear all the comments. I've heard everything secondhand. I think I would just be cautious about putting too much emotion into feeling hurt and offended by them. And just, somehow just get across the clear facts of, keep it simple to how many calls we respond to and, hours of training and such like that, and try not to get into a back and forth with anybody. I just think it's a waste of time. We're busy enough as it is, not that they should get away with it, but I just feel like there might be better use of our time, and not to belabor it. But I also get, defending as a volunteer is yeah, not a good feeling either. So that's really all I have.
I kind of understand where you're coming from, Ross. I don't kind of understand. I do understand where you're coming from. Is there any problem with the board, myself and Tom and Bob putting together a letter and passing that on to the chief for transmittal?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't know why it would be, whether there be anything against you guys putting something in, together like that. I mean, I think I do see the value in defending the volunteers and what they do. And maybe that's just, it's the education piece, that people don't understand that these are volunteers out there.
Well,
Spend hours in training and doing their jobs and looking after their families, and then still dropping stuff to go help out when somebody else is having a bad day.
I think it's important to defend your position, and Jennifer's also. To be honest with you, though, you guys, as Bob said, you put in untold numbers of hours supporting the organization and the people in the organization, and I think that we have been denigrated in a broad-based way. We've all been painted somewhat in an ugly fashion by a certain minority group of people, and I'm kind of for the letter, even though I agree with you that there are probably lots of other things that are better put our time into, and that's why I'm suggesting maybe the three board members, if Tom wouldn't mind spearheading that, we could put something together and have everybody review it as appropriate and let the chief take care of sending it out if that would be appropriate.
Well, I like,
The comment you made, Ross, about attacking the people. I don't want to do that. I simply want to make a very simple statement up front about the commissioners, and as if we, the three commissioners, do it, make a statement about our organization, meaning everybody. That includes you guys, the staff, it includes the volunteers, it includes us. That simply says we're very taken, but we're upset with this. And I could use some other words, but I'm not going to use them here because they're inappropriate. But that we're upset, and then go into the thing that you were talking about the training of the volunteers, or some of the other things that we do and that we've had, that we're organized and we're doing this, we're being good stewards of our money, whatever, but something like that. And just so that people know, and we may make a paragraph or something in there where it says, hey, we realize that under canvas is a controversy in the community. We understand that. But by the people that taking shots at us, better words, but in that context of the, say, for instance, the 50% of response or the chief going in the back room and cutting a deal, or not trained people, you know, that kind of stuff. We could put that in a paragraph and say, this is totally out of line. This false, period. And then, you know, that kind of, just a couple paragraphs like that, but the rest of it being more positive, what's going on, volunteers, the times they donate, that kind of stuff. That's what I've got in my head with this.
Okay,
Well,
And I don't want to take anybody on to the extent that we're not gonna put his name in there or anything like that, because we don't need any more public record requests that ties you guys up with more time than this. So for sure, we don't want to do that. And we know that our two friends or some of our friends were involved in this and had made comments. So we don't want to do that.
I agree.
Bob, you were going to say something.
I agree with you, Roz. I don't want it to get into an attack mode. I don't want to retaliate against anybody or any groups. And we don't have time to get into I don't know what word I should use here, because this is a public meeting. Oh, a griping email war with any group or anybody. We don't have time for that. So we need to keep it positive. Like Tom says, comments have been made. We're offended, but we're moving on. We're going to keep taking care of our customers, even though everybody on this page knows it's only 3 or 4 people that are doing this. But if they get believed by others, then that's when the problem comes in. You know, well, I heard and she said, and that's what this darn computer business, it's a real problem. It's not like the old days where you just call somebody up and gripe and moan, and then you could always say, well, I never said that in the phone. So you're right, Roz. We got to be careful. We don't need any more enemies. There, that's all I have to say.
Well, I think that I agree with Roz, and I want to tag all of you. I think keeping things positive is a good thing. I think getting information out there on what we've been up to is really important. Just kind of, especially with the bond stuff going on, I think there's still a lot of people that don't understand what's happening in the community. So kind of keeping it on a positive side of things. The way I look at it is the people that are degrading us, it usually comes out in the wash. I don't think, you know, anybody in the long run is going to value their opinion. I've watched it happen other times, and it may take a while, but they usually aren't a respected group within the community. So that's my take on it. I definitely think that we should comment and, you know, make it known that we've heard this and we don't agree with it. But then again, I honestly don't believe that anybody in the community takes those people seriously. I would agree. I think it would be important to maybe have that letter sent to the community council as well, because usually the only things I'm hearing, at least locally, are all negative in our community council meetings. So if we can have some positive feedback on what our fire department is doing in that letter, that might be a good thing to have presented at a community council meeting.
Okay. Wes, you got any comments? More?
No, I concur with predictably Roz's level head. And I respect the comments that she made, and Jennifer, you as well. I think it all has to do with a balance of personalities amongst the team to find the right approach in response to negativity. And I agree 100% that educating the citizens of what we are doing is important. I will be very clear, however, and Chuck, you've experienced this as well. It's an amazing scenario, from my perspective, all of the opportunities we give for educating the public on various things, such as our property protection ratings, wildfire prevention, fire prevention. It's amazing to me how quickly society just forgets about it, which reinforces that the fire tax bill that we all receive, for those of us who pay our bill direct to the county and not through our mortgage, we're the ones more paying more attention to our tax bill. It's amazing to me that how soon it just kind of subsides, and we have to go back to education and so on. I would have hoped that both community councils would have, as a collective group, shown more interest in what Fire District 3 is doing. More specifically, the Hewsome Community Council, because as we all know, the representation on the Snowden Council is pretty solid from the fire department side, so they got the information. But good things to come. To me, it's interesting how people are. I'm not, unless my board, the three of you, tell me otherwise, I'm not willing as the chief to sit idly by and allow the few to, as Chuck says, the word denigrate our volunteers, but I also agree with positive comments in a letter, a correspondence of such. I don't think it's out of line to put something in the newspaper. I truly don't. There's some positive opportunities in that as well. So long as it's worded in a positive way and not, doesn't sound like we are engaging in a tit for tat war with just a few folks. So that's all the comments I have. It's been a challenge. As I told Commissioner Wirtz earlier today, the fire district went through these similar challenges some time ago on another matter. And they'll come again. I'm not worried about me and my feelings, but to name the individuals who never disengage fully from the fire department, even in the middle of the night, I'm just not willing to sit idly by while a few people choose to beat us up as an organization, because they're attacking them. That's what bothers me. That's all.
And
Okay.
I do think a possible letter should be signed by all commissioners. Well,
Yes, I agree
I'll-
100%.
that letter. It should come from the commissioners,
Yes, 100%.
not from the chief putting stuff out where he can get beat up again.
Yep,
I want coming.
I
from-
agree 100%.
Okay.
Nodding my head, Tom.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I understand. Okay. I don't know the procedure on how we want to do this, but that, some thoughts come to mind. We can put them on paper, direct them to the, if the chief would be okay with that, we can direct them either to he or the staff there, get them put together and on the street. Any problem with that?
No,
Well, I
No,
want to hear what Wes has to say.
I'm making sure I'm tracking correctly. You guys are gonna author a document and you're gonna tell me to distribute it. Is that
No,
correct?
we're gonna have you help us author the document and then have our names on it when it hits the street.
Okay. Yeah. the work is
Understand?
directed.
Does that
I
make
understand.
sense? We've done
Yep.
this before on other stuff.
Mhm.
And hopefully we can get it to the newspapers are the critical ones to us. The consuls, actually Bob and I don't know if Bob's going to the meeting tonight, but there is a Snowden council meeting this evening. And I will be there for sure. And we've got our position as the fire department to talk, but they also are going to talk about the under campus. And I'm sure that some of the things that are in this, in the derogatory aspects may come up, and I will defend our positions from them very vehemently. In fact, I'll probably be, well, whatever. I've got big shoulders, and from that standpoint, but use the BZ corner console. That's what that is, or is it the Houston BZ corner console?
Excuse me, Tom, I got a car in the driveway. I'll be right back.
It's
I
Houston,
don't know
BC.
who the. Okay, so that console, I think it's fair to send it to them, like Jennifer said, so they have a positive stuff coming out of us, but they also know that we're upset with what was said. I think that's good. So going to those consoles, it's okay with me. And I don't know who else you were talking about, but there's some other organization. If you think it's necessary, I agree with you on sending it to those places as well. But the newspapers, both newspapers is what I'm more concerned or more interested in up front right now because of the deadlines. So I think that if we can pass notes on to you today, and we can go from there, if that would be appropriate in this, that we can do that in this meeting, and then simply everybody have an opportunity to proofread and then send it. Nothing behind the scenes door, whatever. Is that legit or not?
Okay, well, logistically, getting it proofread, we just did this. Gosh, Chuck, was that a month ago when you instructed me to send a letter? Or the board chose to send a communication to the Friends of the White Salmon River?
Commission.
And yeah, the commissioners did. And then in order to get that approved, it didn't work out. It didn't work. I didn't have the opportunity to get all three of you to approve that. Because it's a timing issue for this project, you tell me how I can, within an hour, get that proofread. Because that'll take going to emails and calls and so on.
Wait,
I apologize, everybody. Somebody pulled in and they're gonna hang out for a while.
Okay. Wes, I think what we can do is go with some of the, you got a feel for what we have as far as what we want to say. I mean, we said it, it's in the record here, and I think you already know. If you could draft something, how are we going to do this? I'm almost open to, or almost to the point of saying I'm okay with if what you drafted from the comments that we've told you today sent forward, but I don't know how that works.
So
I don't know how we can, go ahead.
I sent you a response to your inquiry in blue. Did you happen to, okay.
I read
don't
it and
know.
I'm 100% with what you said. I'm okay with what you said. I
And
don't know
so-
if Chuck and Bob are though.
Okay,
If you guys have read what Wes had in blue on the note I had, and you're okay with it, I'm okay to say to Wes, go with that. Let's go for it. Get it in the paper.
Okay, I read the stuff in blue and I'm 100% for what was said.
There may be some, I want you to go back and look at it because there may be some edits in there. An edit like towards the end of it. Before the word officials, it should be our, O-U-R, instead of of.
I'm looking. I won't send anything out to Roz and or Jen, get a chance to scan it.
Okay, then I'm okay, because it'll happen.
So I'm understanding you're telling me that my response to you is acceptable, or my response to your question is acceptable. Is that the same for all three commissioners?
Yes,
I don't know. I'd be glad to buzz out there after this meeting and look at it.
Okay, so that tells me you haven't seen it and you can't support it.
I'm supportive of what you're saying. I'm just saying I'm not sure to what you're alluding here, so but I would be glad to drive out there.
May I recommend this, Commissioner Montag? The board be clear on the direction of a letter and who to send it to, and authorize Commissioner Verts to approve the wording. Is that okay? Is that a plan?
yes.
It's okay with me.
And yeah, this is an action item, so we're okay. Roz, tell me if you think I'm wrong. But that way, I'm not speaking for the board in my writing. I'm just providing a recommendation. Commissioner Vert said he'd come out here, wordsmith it to his liking, and publish with approval from the other two board members. Process
I'm
okay,
in.
Roz?
I'm in.
Roz, answer.
She's having second thoughts.
She's thinking.
That's fine. I mean, the spirit of it is pretty clear from what we've discussed here, that it would
Okay.
take the high ground, as it were, and just put facts out there, and not try to get
Okay,
into it.
Commissioner Vert, you willing to buzz out here real quick?
he's
No
on
problem.
mute.
I don't have any
On mute.
problem. No
Okay.
problem. I don't have to do anything. There's nobody here but me. No grandkids, no nothing. It's like, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll have that up on the computer ready.
Okay, with that said, then, I think we're done discussing this subject. I need an aye or an A or a yes or a no or
I'm happy.
move
You
on.
should probably make a
Go ahead.
motion that's what you're gonna do, that I didn't
Right.
hear. Sorry, I was dealing with contractor. But if just
Nope.
make it clear that it's an action of the board.
Okay, gentlemen, I need a motion that Wes is gonna put together something. Chuck is gonna review it for all of us, meaning the other two commissioners. Anything that they come up with, meaning the changes or whatever that Wes and Chuck come up with, we're going to press. That's what I need a motion. For a response to the under canvas from our position.
I make a motion that the chief go ahead with some wordsmithing and that Commissioner Verts will run out there, look at it, whatever changes they want to make, I'm okay with it. And then we can get it published. There, it's a long motion. Is that what
I'll
you?
second.
Okay,
Okay, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
All right. Also then, so be. Okay. Moving on to our second topic then is the bond project update. And I'll turn that over to either Wes or Chuck, because they were there today talking.
I think
Whatever one.
Wes was there for the whole meeting. I missed the first few minutes, so if he doesn't mind jumping in and
I think that Merritt had some input from the other day. I saw an email like yesterday, or the
Yeah,
day before
yeah.
too, so.
And Bob's in a sketchy place for cell coverage, and that's fine. So what I'm looking for, and golly, I'm having a hard time finding that darn email that he just sent us. That had, it was in blue again. Let's see. Lien notice.
This
It was
is
an
from Merritt.
update. What's that? From Merit, yeah,
Getting from Merritt?
yeah. But I can give you a verbal of really the big topic items. So thus far, as you guys know, the bond project's been in place with construction. So what are we in month number 2, I believe, or we're over 30
Pretty
days
close.
now, something like that. Both stations are currently in a state of construction. The contractor, Dana Hale Construction, and his supervisor, Chad, up to this point has been a true treat to work with. Us being the client, them being the contractor. And what I mean by that is the communications and dialogue opportunities that have taken place with the Wednesday construction meetings and during other times when things have come up is working. And between all the work that Bob Merritt has put into this project, Jeff Dellis, an architect, Dana Hale, the general, and then on our side, obviously with the payment transmittals, documentation, and then just networking, the project is going well. There's been some hurdles, as we all know, specifically asbestos, which kind of hurt us hard. The other piece that will hurt us, financial impact, is the amount of base rock we have to put into the truck bay at Station 31. There was quite a bit more that had to be pulled out because you can't put concrete on dirt. It's got to be on base. But the general contractors has been thus far, it's been a good thing. The process is, I think, the end result with auditing purposes, documentation trail, change orders, requests for information, all that stuff. It's complex, but it's working well. And Bob Merritt has a huge role to play in that. So now, physically speaking, I'll just start at Station 32. Big ticket items up there. You guys have all seen the foundation holes have been in place. There's a supply chain issue with just about everything from rebar to concrete going on, and Dana Hale's been working through that. The Station 32, there'll probably be up there next week completing forms for the building foundations and forms for relocating the water tank. And I'm not sure exactly, but the in-ground tank at Station 2 is on the schedule to get pulled out. The supply needs for the building itself, they're working through that, but we're not behind schedule. One thing that is on my radar, and I'll be talking with Bob about, is that window of time for when Brown Roofing is to come in and redo the roof. So that's a conversation that folks will be having soon when that comes along. But not a ton of stuff's going on at Station 32 right now, but in the middle of hurdles down here, they've remobilized up there and took advantage of time as to not waste it and cost us money. So that's where Station 32 is right now. Should see some activity up there next week again. Station 31 is ongoing. If you've been here, you've seen new stud walls in. We caught a last minute change with the main office area with the soffit that wasn't removed. The wing wall where the old door was, wasn't on schedule to get removed. And that was an oversight of the engineer and architect. To get that square footage, I said, it's gotta go. So that we caught it at the right time. Unfortunately, it requires moving an electrical panel, which I believe was completed today. But wall framing is up. Some of the interior space concrete's been re-poured in the hallway. The plumbing, the drains, all that from the hall, from the building out to the back have been installed. They've been inspected and improved, and some of it's recovered or covered back up again. The engineering designs for the center wall shoring in the truck bay came in late Friday night. We found out this morning. And so they'll be doing some reinforcing on that to remove that center wall in the truck bay, and that will dramatically open up the space in that area. Dana is still working and waiting for response back about the beams in the training room. Just to catch you up, we've asked him to look at what would it cost to reinforce the current wood beams in there with an architecturally approved or engineer approved strut system or truss system, and what's the cost of putting in what's the word, poles or poles in the middle.
Posts, beams.
Posts, beams, posts. I'm hoping that it's going to be about a net wash, because if at all possible, we don't want two posts in the middle of that room. You put a post in the middle of the room, it's a pain, but we may have to go there. We'll see. The septic tank was removed. The drain field, the old drain field was removed. The new septic tank, I haven't been back there today, but the hole was dug yesterday and it was supposed to show up today. I do know they were working on leach lines and so on. Dust abatement has been diligently worked on by the contractors. I got a water meter from Fordyce Water put on the hydrant in the back. So we know how many gallons are being used for dust abatement and so on. What else am I missing, Tom or Chuck? Talk about value engineering with doors today. They're gonna be looking at what our opportunities are there and so on. Without Bob's list in front of me. Bob made progress. We've saved some money by not pouring concrete pads for the propane tanks. They'll be on base with bollards installed. So we're not doing expensive concrete pads. We're not required to. I'm working on base station antennas, working on getting quotes for that. I got a general, I didn't get a full quote, but a general cost estimate for a Mako air compressor this morning from Mako. As you guys know, the free air compressor that I got, didn't know it, but it's 3-phase power instead of single phase. So we'll be going on the search for SCBA compressors still. It's part of our project cost estimates. What else am I missing? Bob's been working on the required radio gas appliance connections called an RSO that shuts the flow off to gas at both stations for the stoves and cooking appliances and so on if a call comes in. Been working on miniatures for that purpose as well. And so what have I missed? Chuck, Tom?
I don't think you missed anything. The electrical guy is, the one thing he talked about a week ago when I was there, he was talking about a panel for the generators. So I assume he's working on the generators, how he's gonna hook up the generators and that kind of thing. It was a special panel he was having made that would be able to accommodate all the buttons and switches and stuff.
Right.
So
is
there gonna have to be a pad for that generator on both places?
Oh yeah, the generators go on pads. They've got all the design specs for that. They've got the connection specs. Bob Merritt was able to get those. They've gone up and inspected the generators just to make sure they're seeing what they're connecting, so on. The other big ticket item, I think, which is important, is I don't have a good clear picture in my mind right now as we sit if Dana, the contractor, is on track for days of project, but it's still early to tell. I will tell you that he's having trouble getting concrete. Our local concrete vendors shutting down during peak construction season to go to Sturgis. Matter of fact, I seen him at the tire shop today, going to Sturgis. So it's kind of crazy to me, but Dana's working through that for concrete supply. Oh, the other thing that we addendumed our contract with Klein has to do with inspecting the engineered required concrete. And so that inspection stuff, I think one hurdle popped up. They're working through that to get the results back in a timely manner. That would be for the truck bay floors, the generator pads, the Station 32 water tank, foundation pad, and so on. The footings for Station 32's building, all those need tested and certified stamp for concrete strength and mix. So
And
what else
Jeff's
we
gonna
missed,
be able
Chuck?
to handle it.
Yes. We've started to see invoice come in through Roz and Jennifer. So, and you guys, I think, processed one last month. We can anticipate a steady drawdown on capital funds associated with the project. You know, it's been so nice to have money sitting in the bank, but the trade-off is we're not reaching our objectives. In order to reach our objectives, we got to spend that money. So it'll dwindle. We'll get that weird sense of, oh, we're going broke, but I'm keeping track of the mindset of we have that funding for a specific goal and taxpayers expect us to spend it appropriately. So that's good news, I suppose. Anything else, Chuck?
No, I think you covered it way better than I would have. I didn't remember all of those items, so thank you for doing that. But I was amazed at how much fill is going to be necessary in those bays at 31 to get that up to where they could put the concrete in. It's quite a bit of fill.
I think that wasn't that number about $8,000 unanticipated.
Yeah, I believe
Somewhere in
you.
that. We took a hit between that and asbestos. We took a hit, but we're saving it elsewhere in value engineering. And, you know, again, back to the performance so far of Hale Construction. They're doing well. They're real receptive to our needs to get to the gymnasium. We haven't had them say, get out of here. You know, they haven't damaged anything. They're working very hard to make sure that they can keep a positive relationship with all of our neighbors. That's important to them as well. And yeah, so far it's been good, but you know what I always say, it's always fine until it's not, right? So what I mean by that is when you're doing construction projects, I walk in the door and boy, I'd sure like to have a chrome doorknob when the spec called for a brazen brass. No, I'd sure like to have chrome. I go in there and say, sure like to put chrome on there. And then they say, well, that's a change order. And then we start costing money. So I'm doing whatever I can to stay out of that conversation. Bob Merritt's doing a great job with getting us values. Case in point, propane tanks. We'll be buying propane tanks pretty soon. That comes at a cost, but what it doesn't come with is a obligatory lease to a particular company to pay their price. We can shop around. I learned that just by doing some cursory checking around on per gallon fuel prices 2 weeks ago. And I thought, boy, I never knew how important that is. Own your own tank. You can buy it from who you want. So Bob's been doing a great job with that. Bob's a little late getting his invoices in on a routine basis, but they're coming. Other than that, I don't know.
Jennifer's doing a good job on that.
Yeah.
I saw some things for Jennifer. She's got
Yes,
her
she
whip
is.
out, and I think that's
Yes,
good.
she is. Want to make sure that even at this early phase in the project, know that every bit of it will become subject to auditing as we move into next year. Roz is doing the best she can, and Jennifer as well with the data piece and historic value so we can go back. But I'm amazed about the amount of information, the amount of emails and documents that are flowing through this project. I believe we're going to be in good shape. Roz can chime in on that if she wants to. But I think if it weren't for Roz and Jennifer, we would be probably headed for a bad road with auditors. And I'm pretty confident we're doing okay. But let's not forget, auditors will come. They will come say hi to us.
I do have a question about that particular aspect of things. But will there be a special audit that significantly examines that aspect of our operations, or will that just be incorporated in the usual audit and we'll pay the extra? How's that all gonna come down? Do you know?
So last time they came out to visit, I actually asked them to take a specific look at that Station 32 bathroom project, just to make sure that we did do things the right way and just so that we were prepared for that. So they took that binder that I had and went through it. And I don't think we'll have a choice when they'll pick what they want to look at through the capital project too. They might not look at all of it, but usually they'll pick specific items. So they already picked out on the our hiring of the architect and stuff like that. So that was covered under the last one, but they'll go through it with a fine tooth comb. I have no doubt.
So they will just do what they've been doing, pick and choose what the specific areas they want to examine might be.
Yeah, but it's more in depth. So there's our general funds, and that's what they're used to doing, and that's what we're used to seeing.
Right.
But then capital projects would be special projects that they look at, more closely. So, it'll probably be a bigger issue just because there's just more money at stake. So it makes sense that they would probably spend more time with us next time.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Are we going to need to increase the budget line item for that? You think that seems to me like that's going to be a given, but we're getting to that point in the year where we're going to be going into that process here if we're not there already.
No, yeah. So right now we're still doing annual financial online reporting. So our last time they came out was to cover through 2019. I think, correct me, Jen, it was 17, 18, and 19. So we won't see them in-house again until, but yeah, they're going to cover 20, 21, and 22. So we get to, if we mess it up, we mess it up big all the way through in the middle, and they'll catch it all at the end.
Yeah, I guess that's my question is when we're doing our budget this year, it seems like we need to give some consideration to the extra expense we might incur in terms of the audit, the cost of the audit. Is that you said 2021 or 22? I'm assuming 22.
Yeah, so I think they won't come out until 23.
Oh, 23. So we have some time to put some money in reserves and move it over to cover that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we do. That's a great topic. The other, I want to plant a seed also. We don't know what our monthly expenditures for utilities is going to settle down at. I expect some changes. I'm hoping to see an improvement with, for example, our electric bill. But then again, we also need to do our best to forecast an annual insurance premium change with post-construction period. So some things are up in the air as far as what our anticipated costs are going to be. And when we do 2022's budget planning, not sure how, but insurance, utilities is going to have to be also part of our conversation to try to predict. And then, yeah, it's not on the agenda. So we'll talk about insurance during a budget workshop as we move forward. But For the bond purposes, I believe I gave an update. Still meeting on
Good job.
Wednesdays. And, you know, I would encourage you guys to continue to attend. It's a good thing. Bob, Commissioner Connor, you as well, if you so desire. And excuse me, yeah, that's what I would have for the bond.
Very good job. I think that we're up to date and we understand what's going on. I appreciate it. Good idea, Ross, to have this special meeting so we could do that out to date within a more timely basis than having it every 4 weeks. So with that said, is there anything else that on the bond, or are we done with the under canvas and we're ready to, our next regular meeting will be next Thursday, week from tomorrow, 8/12, is that right? And I need a motion to adjourn if that's in order.
I move the meeting be adjourned.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we adjourned at 16:07. Thank you.
All
We'll
right.
see you next, I believe it's a week from tomorrow.
I forgot we were in a new month.
There you go. Thank you
Good
very
thing
much,
you-
everybody, and I appreciate the efforts we extended today on this subject. And
Okay.
Chuck, you and Wes are on here. That's up to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.